Hello everybody and welcome back to Broken Berean, and great news, it's official, Warhammer 40k is in development, is in active pre-development. They've secured the rights, they had till December of this year to do it, and Amazon's done it. They've officially entered production and development. Not production, development. So what does this mean, and what are we getting, and who knows what? But let's just kind of parse through some of this stuff. And just basically, there's been a lot of rumors, a lot of hearsay, and a lot of stuff, and it's just kind of like some of it may be true, some of it maybe not. You know, there was a rumor that he spent like half the budget on buying people in the production, already assigned to it, a bunch of Warhammer figurines, and that, you know, it's been canceled because Cavill's too difficult to work with and things like that. But let's break it down. First, Amazon and MGM, which is Amazon owns MGM, but Amazon does not have a great track record. I mean, look at what they did with Wheel of Time and Rings of Power. They've got the money to throw at it, but the people they put in charge are questionable. Absolutely. You put people who had 2 uncredited writing credits for Star Trek, probably arguably the worst Star Trek movie, in charge of Rings of Power. Completely don't even think some of the writers read Wheel of Time, any of the books, but they did Reacher right. They did Jack Ryan good. So it's like, yeah, you know, but what we do know is something we don't know, and they haven't picked a showrunner. And what is a showrunner? For some people, I've heard the term, I don't know. Showrunner is basically the lead writer who's going to be in charge of crafting the narrative. They're in a mini writing group right now trying to come up with how they're going to develop the franchise and things like that, but no official showrunner has been announced for the series. And that's okay, because Henry Cavill is going to be the star and executive producer. And what does that mean? That's a good thing. Now, I don't want to assume this, but I'm going to put it out there. Henry Cavill is a true king of the nerds. And on Witcher, some of his co-workers were like, oh, he's difficult to work with and blah, blah, blah. Well, because he liked to game, and sometimes he was late because he was gaming, and he would get mad. He's like, we shouldn't do it this way. This isn't how Geralt would do it, and things like that. And, you know, this and that. And so they're like, he's difficult to work with. But he was just such a huge fan of The Witcher, the lore, the games, the books, everything, that he was like, no, this isn't how it would be done. And that branded him as difficult, because he wasn't playing ball with the spin and the changes they wanted to make, because it was against the lore and against the narrative. So we know that Warhammer 40k is going to be probably close to the lore. And there's so much more to unpack to this, because Games Workshop, who owns the rights to Warhammer and has developed it over the years, has made some questionable decisions in the past few years. Just like D&D has done, you know, like, they're kind of like, we want to focus on all this loud minority, and we're ticking off all the old original players because we're making changes that shouldn't be made. So there's a little contention between that, but I think it's going to stick to the Warhammer 40k lore. Now, I will admit, I'm going into this semi-blind. And that is because I've never played Warhammer. I have started reading a couple of the books, which I found out and was like, okay, I don't really have anyone. I have one friend that plays Warhammer, and he's kind of like, I'd love for you to play with us, but he's like, you're so far behind because he's been doing it for like the last 20 years. And I'm kind of like, yeah, I get it. I was like, no, you do you, man. And I was like, no judgment. And, but he's like, man, check out the books. I think you'll like them because he knows I like sci-fi. So I was like, okay, Warhammer 40K. Oh my gosh. You thought there was a lot of Star Wars books or Star Trek books? They got nothing on Warhammer. Nothing. It's ridiculous the amount of books there is about Warhammer. Because there's not just Warhammer 40K. There's Warhammer, which is kind of like an arcane series, which would be more similar to Dungeons and Dragons. It's got technology, but it's more like knights and dwarves and battle orcs and things like that, while 40K is set 40,000 years into the future, so it's two different things, but it's semi-connected. So there's so much to draw from. There will not be a lack of 40K material for them to draw from. And where Henry Cavill's going to start and where he's going to do, no clue. But I mean, we could literally do nothing but Space Marines and probably go until Henry Cavill passes away and not even touch any of the other books. Just the Battle of Space Marines. That's it. Just that book series alone is like 80 books, give or take, something like that. It's ridiculous. It's crazy the amount of books that have been written. And it's kind of like, well, where do you start? I don't know. I just picked one and downloaded it on my Kindle and started reading it a little while ago, a few months ago. Haven't finished it. But there's so much. It's just a massive world, and there's so many things to learn and so many things like that. So a lot of people going into it, you've got the two-prong approach. You've got to do one, you've got to please the fans that already are into Warhammer 40K. And that I don't think is going to be a problem. But I think I've started on this comment before, but I got sidetracked from my thoughts. But I think Henry Cavill is a closet conservative. And this is all speculation and here's why. Because when you think of people that aren't political, and I mean, when we had Levi come out and say, yeah, he's conservative, he's voting for Trump, a lot of people turned on Zachary Levi, and I was like, what? That's crazy. Just because he has a different political opinion? That's weird. But okay, that's the time we live in. You can't have a different political opinion and still be friends, apparently. But you can with me. Have a different opinion? Fine, let's talk about it. Let's discuss it. Let's debate it. Let's break it down. Let's see where I'm coming from, where you're coming from. I like to learn things. So it doesn't bother me in the least. I've got friends that are ultra left. I've got friends that are ultra right. I've got friends that couldn't tell you a political person in the last 20 years. So I've got the gamut, but I mean, I think he is slightly conservative because he doesn't talk about politics. Which also could mean he absolutely cares zero about politics. Like, he does not care. Which, I'm fine with that too. I mean, sometimes it's best if you just kind of like, and shutting off all political news, it just seems to build your self-satisfaction and fulfillment in life just up a little bit when you block out all political talk. It does. It's just the way it is. But because of that, I don't think this is going to be woke, as some people might put it. And as I might put it, I don't think he's going to go that way. Why? Because he wants to be true to the lore. That's just his big thing. He wants to be he wants to be perfect to the lore and the everything. So I think it's going to be good, even though we don't know who the showrunner is, and they haven't picked him or her yet. I do think whoever it is, Henry's going to be like, I pray this fantasy thought I had is true. They just set up a board. They set up a battlefield. He's like, you want to be the showrunner? Beat me. He sets out his army. They set out their army, and they just battle out. You wanna be the showrunner? Beat my army. Beat my Necrons. Just bring it. I'm like, that would be awesome. Televise that. Henry Cavill, do it and televise it, please. Do it to all people that want to be the showrunner. Make them do it, and you'll make more money off of that than you probably will the show. That would be awesome. I would pay to watch that. I'd do pay-per-view full price to watch that. That would just be incredible. Just because you're like, oh, this is fun. I can't wait to watch. This is great. That would be awesome. Don't get me wrong. I want the show too, because I don't know what it's going to be. There's so much and so much of the lore. I've never played the video games either. I've watched a lot of the new gameplay for Space Marines 2, and it's really cool. I like it. And I mean, I'm just excited for anything like really sci-fi nerdy stuff. I'm always in. Even if I don't know the lore in the background, I'm in. And I'm getting there. I'm about 200 books behind, but I'm coming around. And it's just one of those things. It's like, oh, I knew it's there. I knew about D&D way before Stranger Things came out. I mean, but it's just one of those things. It's like, I know about it. I could get through it if I had to, but I don't actively play it. It's not part of my nerdiness. I'm nothing against it. It's just kind of like, tabletop's never been my thing, really. So I'm excited because we're going to get an amazing series, and there's a lot of people saying, no, there's going to be this, there's going to be that. Well, we don't know yet. All we do know is officially happening, because there was rumors that it's just, okay, all this other stuff is just not going to happen. But it's officially entered development. So the rights are secured by Amazon MGM Studios. Henry Cavill is the executive producer and the star. Don't know who he's going to play, what's going to be happening, but I'm excited. Because whatever it is, I think it's going to have Henry Cavill's just obsessive compulsion to stay true to the lore. And he's probably going to stay true to the lore pre-2020, when things start getting weird. So I'm absolutely all in on this, because whatever it is, it's going to be incredible. And since a lot of this is probably going to have to be practical effects and a lot of CGI, just for it's Warhammer 40K. I mean, you got dreadnoughts and all this other stuff that's just, you can't physically build those things. I mean, you can't. I mean, just, that would stop production. That would be the budget of the Rings of Power just to build live action models of those things. It's just not feasible. However, if it's done well with CGI, and you actually get people who can design the stuff, unlike the painted on scales on the armor on Rings of Power that look like it came from a thrift store, I think they'll be doing okay. So I'm excited. This could be huge, and I think it will be. It's just that Henry Cavill's got to be the one in charge and towing the line that, no, we're not doing that because it goes against the lore. Now, if we can keep that line, you're going to bring the fans in. You're going to bring people like me who know a little bit about it and are excited. And you're also going to bring in the people that know nothing, that are coming strictly for Henry Cavill. And that's okay too. I mean, anytime we get more people to nerd out and have fun and suspend belief and just engulf themselves into a fantasy world to have fun, we all win. And that's what we want. And I think that's what we're going to get. But we have to be a little reserved because Amazon is paying the bill. So there may be concessions he has to make. And I hope not. I hope not. But we just have to watch and see what happens. So the moment I get more information, I'm going to come back and report it because I'm excited. Because this is such a huge world. It's just massive in its lore and its people and everything involved in it is just huge. So we're going to get a glimpse into this world, and this could be a franchise that kicks off and continues to go for a very long time without ever having to use any new material. Just strictly going off what's already been written. We're in for a good, long, nerdy time. So until next time, my friends, as always, I love you all, and there's nothing you can do about it.